Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the invisible infrastructure that's actually protecting our money in this crazy fast digital age. It's this fascinating world where finance and technology have just completely merged, giving us unbelievable convenience, but also, as you'll see, some truly unprecedented risks. I am so thrilled to be your guide through this landscape today.
So, just right off the bat, I want you to think about how many times you've relied on the convenience of a digital transaction this week. Honestly, maybe you bought a coffee with your phone this morning, or you split a dinner bill using an app, or just quickly checked your investments online. That seamless, everyday convenience, that is exactly what makes this topic so absolutely critical. Our lives are just entirely intertwined with these systems now.
All right, let's get right into part one, the FinTech Revolution. We need to understand the sheer scale of how this is seamlessly integrated into our daily lives.
We're going to be grounding our explainer today in a really fantastic, authoritative text from Springer called Understanding Cybersecurity Management in FinTech. It gives us a brilliant, comprehensive look at exactly how financial services and tech innovation intersect, and more importantly, what it actually takes to keep them secure.
Now, the evolution of financial technology has been just lightning fast. But, phase one didn't actually start with smartphones. It really began way back in 1866 with the global telegraph network and railroads forming that early communication foundation. Then, we saw a massive shift in 1967 when the internet and ATMs brought about some serious foundational changes. But the real game changer? That hit in 2008. Thanks to the rapid growth of technology like smartphones, sophisticated services started being delivered directly to the customer, basically bypassing traditional bank branches straight to your pocket. The whole identity of the industry just shifted overnight.
And because of that massive shift, FinTech today is no longer just a single app on your phone. It is a massive, interconnected, living ecosystem. Just think about how these groups interact. Right at the center, you've got agile startups innovating at breakneck speed, and they're totally relying on developers to build out their platforms. Meanwhile, government regulators are constantly trying to set the guardrails. Traditional financial institutions are scrambling to adapt, and right there at the end of the line is us, the customers. It's a hugely complex web. Okay, moving on to part two, the big data engine. To understand how this whole ecosystem functions with such incredible speed, we have to look at the fuel powering the machine.
And that fuel is big data. Now, the crucial takeaway here is that big data is not just about size. We're talking about extremely large volumes of complex data being analyzed in real time to reveal patterns, trends, and highly actionable insights. It's the ability to process all this information to execute trades and manage assets in fractions of a second. That is literally the ultimate competitive advantage for modern finance. This engine basically runs on three fundamental pillars: volume, velocity, and variety. Think of terabytes upon terabytes of transaction records, that's your volume. Velocity is what allows automated algorithms to process all that data in real time, executing high-speed trades without any human error. And variety? Well, that means the system is digesting the whole shebang, everything from traditional databases all the way to unstructured social media feeds, sometimes just to instantly determine if a borrower is creditworthy. Pretty wild, right? But, all this brings us to an urgent and really necessary question that kind of snaps the reality of this digital utopia into sharp focus. What actually happens when trillions of dollars, the world's wealth, lives purely online, just as data on interconnected servers?
Well, that brings us right to part three, the dark side of innovation, because wherever money flows, threats are definitely going to follow.
The stakes here are incredibly high. And this is perfectly demonstrated by a truly staggering 238% surge in cyber attacks on banks alone since the start of the pandemic. Basically, when the entire world shifted to doing almost all of its business online, cybercriminals just saw an unprecedented opportunity.
And the sheer scale of this threat? It's essentially an industrialized criminal enterprise at this point. It usually starts with a trap. We're seeing 1.5 million new phishing sites created every single month. Those traps lead to compromised credentials, which fueled a massive spike in stolen passwords, like 500,000 of them sold on the dark web in 2020 alone. And once attackers get that access, they strike hard. We literally saw a 350% spike in ransomware on that same time.
But honestly, what is truly alarming about these statistics is that 98% of these cyber attacks rely heavily on social engineering. Think about that for a second. Despite having military-grade firewalls and insanely complex encryption, attackers are bypassing it all just by manipulating human psychology. It turns out, we humans are very often the most vulnerable piece of software in the entire fintech ecosystem.
So, what's driving all this? The core motivations for these cyber attacks are actually pretty vast. Sure, straightforward financial gain and data theft are huge drivers, but it goes a lot deeper than that. Take the WannaCry ransomware attack from a few years back, which totally disrupted 200,000 computers across 150 countries. Cyber attacks are actively being used for massive service disruptions and even political cyber warfare, where the whole goal is to just shut down the actual economic infrastructure of a target nation.
Which takes us to Part 4, the blueprint for defense. To prevent a catastrophic financial collapse against these relentless threats, the industry has had to build a rigorous plan. It's basically a constant arms race. For years, the absolute gold standard of information security was this simple triangle, the CIAA triad, which stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But as the fintech ecosystem grew way more complex and the threats got way more severe, that triangle had to evolve into a much more comprehensive 5-point star to even stand a chance.
So security managers kept those core three, but they evolved it into the CIAA principle by adding two critical new weapons, accountability and authenticity. Authenticity means demanding absolute verification, like using biometric scans before a single penny moves. And accountability? That ensures that if a breach actually does happen, the system can trace the exact footprint of the user responsible. It completely strips away the anonymity that these hackers rely on.
Ultimately, all of these principles feed into a comprehensive cybersecurity analysis framework. This acts as an active, breathing shield for the whole ecosystem. It doesn't just sit there and react. It proactively forecasts threats using big data. It actively protects data by monitoring network traffic for anything suspicious. And it provides robust endpoint security to stop attacks before they ever breach the central system. It is all about staying one step ahead.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really crucial thought. We've seen the incredible scale of digital finance and the massive systemic risks that these institutions are fighting off daily. But remember, you are a part of this ecosystem too. With these macro-level threats on the rise, how secure is your own digital footprint? What steps are you personally taking to secure your identity in this vast financial web? Seriously, take a moment to think about your passwords, your habits, and your digital footprint. Until next time, stay curious and for sure, stay secure.